Our passion is whaling heritage, from a family that whaled here to growing up on the bluff. I had a collection, I had a museum which I've donated, and obviously from my side, the legacy of the rich whaling history that resides on the bluff headlands is my passion. That together with the development of a whale route is kind of where I want to go to. It's going to form part of a whale experience, which is my collection down at the Whaling Museum, together with whale tours, together with a whale route that we will work closely with the B&B Association here, of which I'm chairman of, for a complete sort of whale experience in the South Durban. Driven by Helga, who's chairperson of the local community tourism office. This year was the very first, and we actually, a lot of the impetus was on the back of this conference, which I found out about through November of last year, when I actually had an opening ceremony at the Maritime Museum, and I was told that this was happening, and in between that I had correspondence developed. So thanks to those that have organised and chose to have it in Durban, because the impetus behind that is actually the culmination of the festival of the hard work that's happening. As I said, there's still a wealth of knowledge within our community from this era, but sadly that wealth only resides within very few. I used to say few, I'm now saying very few. Peter today is one of them, okay? Personally, I was privileged enough to have a close association with some of those people growing up, my family, and then there was sort of a period where I was doing my bit, and about 10, 12 years ago I became hugely interested because I had, at that stage, probably the single largest collection of stuff that just lay in my house. And when I went on my own, left the corporate world, I created this little museum, and luckily it allowed me, that 12-year period, to make contact with people that had been down there, and for me to take some of that heritage and that legacy and take it forward. So it's a challenge for me today, and so I'm privileged to meet some of the people from here today that have the same passion of keeping some of that rich heritage alive. As I said earlier, if you do want to do some reading, I can give you of the whaling history that I miss out. I'm happy to give you names of articles that you can read. I've got the whaling stats, I've got a couple of videos that we probably won't have time to show today, but I'm going to be sharing with those because it's not mine anymore, it's sort of public domain now. That's really been my objective, okay? Just to put it in context, okay, modern whaling in Durban is the modern whaling area. When we talk about modern whaling, we talk about the advent of the industrialization of whaling, driven by Sven Freud, an entrepreneur, businessman, on the back of a lot driven by the Norwegians, okay? We're not talking about the period before. Durban's whaling era is the modern whaling era, okay? Which the late 1890s, when whaling started here, 1810. It was the time when they mechanized the harpoon, the catch, and all of those things that went together. So when I talk about Durban whaling era, it's the modern whaling era, not the old days of Moby Dick and the cutters and the like. Obviously it was driven by Norwegian money, Norwegian people. A lot of people settled. My father, my mother, my grandfather, all Norwegian, came across here as migrant whalers during that period, and they ended up either going back or settling here. Just to put into context the size of the whaling industry that I've visited today where you are. It was the biggest, okay, and it's not something I'm saying proudly, I'm just putting in context. It was the biggest operation in the world, okay? Over and above South Georgia, this operation was bigger than any. So it's a footprint, whichever way you look at it, okay, it's got a huge impact within the whaling, the context of whaling, okay? It was a big industry, okay? So, after South Georgia, this bluff station over here, between the station at Dokkergat, which is Saldanha, which is probably about 20, less than 18, and Durban, the whaling industry was dominated from here, okay? So it was a substantial business, okay? As we all know, in the early days, primarily the blubber and the baleen plates in the very early days was the main commodity. That grew in so much that what you learn today, that at the end the whole carcass was used, and sadly it was only the baleen plate that became a byproduct that was not used, and some of the sperm whale teeth. Every other part of the carcass was used. Okay, so the early days, blubber and baling place used for corsets before the advent of the petroleum industry and extruded plastic, corset, riding crop, and the like. Late, I got it wrong?
No, I'm just thinking of the smell.
Yeah, okay. While you're on the smell, okay, I was on the way back, I had the privilege to actually drive some people. Growing up over there was a story, okay? South Durban is stuck between an industrial hub and there. The story went, you knew which way the wind was blowing. Because from the whaling station, you got the whale smell, from the oil refinery, you got the whale. Okay? So there's a lot of stories. I could stand here half a day and tell stories of people were blamed when the whaling station wasn't even open for a smell. I mean, John McDonald tells a story. Whaling, it wasn't even, it was closed. Okay, so there was a smell. So yes, he lived with the smell. It's a story. It goes right back to, I've actually got extracts from the fisheries from 1910, 1911. I read it in very high English about the smell when they first had it down on the bays on the inside of the harbour on this side, okay? And the pronunciation is like sort of in high English, and I'll try to read it at a presentation I did late last year, okay? Okay, but two things at one time, another story of it. Okay, so when we move on, it's obviously the whaling era in Durban is not the era of Moby Dick and sort of what one imagines from sort of early northern Europe and the east coast of America. We're talking about the modern whaling era. Okay, obviously this industry moved as the stocks were decimated in the northern industries and the western and eastern seas. They moved south. Okay, so with a combination of the availability of stock and the modernization on the back of what Sven and the likes of those industrial entrepreneurs developed for whaling. At one stage, Sutherland probably was the capital of the whaling industry. Many of the Cosmos boats went there, the Union Whaling factory boats all went back there. As I said earlier, my mother's honeymoon was actually on the Abraham Larsen back to Norway to meet her in-laws from southern Norway. Okay. The industry developed on the back of the organic oil and fats from the 1920s, and it became the main ingredient for margarine and soap. Okay. The Durban industry started in 1907. It was driven by Jacob Egland, who was the Norwegian consul in Durban, and John Brood, who actually the Brood whale is named after. Okay. So it started in 1907. Okay, in 1909, England withdrew his partnership and together with Abraham Larsen, who was his cousin, 1909, Union Whaling. Obviously, there were several reasons why Durban could be so successful. One, plentiful supply of whales off the coast. The fact that there was a lot of cheap supply of coal. The first whaling boats were steam-driven, using coal. Later, they moved to diesel. And obviously that you could buy provisions here. Unlike South Georgia, that there was the provisions were fairly easily available. So all of those factors combined led to the development of an industry. Okay. Sorry, I was going to try and do the speech together with another laptop, but we knew what, so I have to print it again. Okay, as I said, it was dominated by Norwegians. They settled here. That's a picture of General Delarey, and those maybe that know South African history. General Delarey, together with Percy Fitzpatrick, who wrote Jock of the Bushveld, both actually went in 1908 into the Hunt of Durban. So here you had this famous Boer general and a famous, what is he called? Author, yeah, and adventurer. Just to try and put those that don't know Durban into a little bit of a context, okay? This is the entrance to the Durban harbour. Okay, it did show me how these are pointed, but I said far too much. That's the entrance to the Durban harbour. The original carcasses used to be cut up in the small bays. There weren't ruins in those days. So just on and there's a picture I've got at the Whaling Museum. They just took them onto the beach, into little bays, chopped them up, okay? Right in the entrance, so they're coming, that's the entrance. Obviously on the other side, this side of Durban Harbour, was very popular in those days with the residents of Durban who used to go and socialise and spend the day on the beach. There actually used to be a sandbar. In the early days, they could only enter the harbour on a high tide. So one could actually walk across. As a result of that, there was a lot of outcry from the citizens of Durban, so they actually then had to move, 2 years later, in 1911, they actually moved the factories to the other side of the bluff for that very reason. They built a slipway. Okay, I jumped ahead of myself, and as I said, the trains were pulled up onto a flatbed train and taken round to one of two stations, which I also mentioned earlier. Okay, that slipway was that same, well not the same one, obviously it's upgraded, but that very spot where the whales were put on the slipway, that's an original picture taken of a carcass being call it processed, call it whatever you want, on the beaches on the inside of the bay. That was actually given to me by Ivan Larson's great-grandson a little while ago. Sandy, that's one of the many pictures and paintings that we're trying to get still be displayed down there. As I said, that slipway was used from its inception in 1909 right till 1975 when whaling closed. Those two are actually, funny enough, I was only given those in probably October last year. I was given a whole collage by Abraham's great-grandson with all of these pictures. So that's genuinely, that's on. Okay, during the heyday of whaling off Natal, from 1916 to about 1920, okay, there were something like 12 companies had concessions, 6 only operated. Okay, so 6 operated from here. One, the furthest, they had one at Park Rennie that operated just before the First World War, before and after. Again, they would just winch the whale carcass from backline. The boats, you couldn't, Rocky Bay, you can't actually, boat can't come on board, okay? So up at about 1912, the early part of 1912 up to the First World War, there was as many as 12 licenses, but only 6 operated, okay? And within those, you have household names, which included Grindrod, which is a huge shipping company today, Lever Brothers, Premier, Irvin and Johnson. They all had some either direct or indirect interest in the whaling industry. This picture is an old steam-driven boat. You can see it from the funnel. That's on the inside of the Durban Bay. That's the harbour going up. And those that joined me today, and we went up the old gun turret and looked down, you would have looked straight down on there, which is just a little bit south of where the whaling slipway was. So that was before they moved across to Maiden Wharf, which was on the other side, and then to Salisbury Island, which in those days was just a sandbar in the middle of the harbour. Okay, that's a picture of an early, I think it's a sperm whale from about 1912, there we go, and that's what the station would have looked like, the slipway looked like in the very early first 5, 6, from 1910 to 19, we look at that period before the First World War, and the industry there, that's a picture taken from there. Okay, later on, as I said, that's from 1909, that's the flatbed trolley that the whale would have been taken onto, and then taken around to the 2 factories. As I said, there was 2 factories, one 1.5 mile, and the other 2.5 mile. The first one was owned by Union Whaling Company, the second by Premier with the Lever Brother interests. And as we go on, you'll see how the Union Whaling slowly bought up all of the factory and became the preeminent company within Durban. Sorry, I'm going too quick. I don't know how, I think lunch is about now. Okay, again, still all on the inside of the harbour. You can see pulled up onto the flatbed to take on the up. Those of you that came on the tour this morning, we drove along the road. It wasn't built in these days. It was only built in about 1953. We drove along that road across the top of the bluff headland. How many people didn't go on the tour this morning? So I can jump some places. Just a few. Okay. I won't try and jump too much. Okay, those are very early pictures. Okay. During World War I, whaling almost came to a standstill. Obviously, they made far more money selling. The boats from the Union Whaling Company were actually sold to the French government to be used as minesweepers. So the industry almost came to a standstill during the course of the First World War. And the Union Whaling Company actually sold their catches to the French government. That was one problem. Obviously, the availability of the Norwegian crew, because it was primarily driven by Norwegians getting down here became the 2. So those are the 2 factors for the industry coming to a close during World War I. And what I learned this morning from Peter, that I didn't know, that explosives were one of the byproducts of oil. Is that correct? So I mean, I'm surprised that they stopped it, because they could stand to make a lot of money, but the boats were used for the war effort as minesweepers and catchers. Again, here's another picture. Those that were with me this morning, tourists put on top of that. But It looks a bit different, okay? That's why I was a bit late and I had to allow the other lady to go before me. Okay, again, looking down, the original factory is just on the inside of the bay, pulled up. We're looking between the two groins. Obviously, that didn't look at all like that in those early days. Later on, the slipway, there's a picture of the slipway. The slipway was up here and pulled down. The train line going around, which we see pictures of. Initially, in the early days at Maiden Wharf, which if you get to look across the harbour again, you'll see two humps, which is the sugar terminal. That is Maiden Wharf. That is where in the early days the catches were and where they had a marine workshop where my grandfather worked. Later on, the boats were moved across early, even before this, the actual part just south of the coal terminal. They then moved to Salisbury Island, which you can't see. Again, you would have seen them if you knew where it was while you drove across the roads, along the road earlier this morning when we went down there. Okay. Yeah, boy.
3 minutes.
Oh, that's all I had. Oh, I didn't know that. No one told me. I've only got 3 minutes left. Oh, okay. Okay. As I said, like any commodity, which whale oil was, the demand fluctuated depending on the supply and demand. Obviously, during that time, Great Depressions, all of those had a influence on. In the early 1930s, 31, Larsen consolidated that. He bought the Premier Whaling Station. He opened the workshop, the marine engineering workshop, and slowly in 1932, Union Whaling became the sole domain of the Union Whaling Company off Durban. Okay, in 1936, he made another bold move. He bought the Uni Whalco, which was a factory whaling ship, and he operated some seasons north of Madagascar and Antarctic before the war. The Uni Whalco was actually sunk off Trinidad because they used it during the Second World War. It was used for the war effort. That's the slipway. So the Uni Whalco was bought. So during that time, he just consolidated his position with buying up all the other companies, together with buying using pelagic whaling. So he supplements. He said the season would go both. There'd be pelagic whaling in the summer when the whaling the station wasn't in operation, and then obviously when the station was in operation off here. Again, during the Second World War, all the ships were sold as minesweepers, together with the Unitas, which I've got a picture soon. As I said, that became because of the huge storage area, probably storage for oil at the line. That's a picture of Dave, who was with us this morning. That's his uncle. His name is Oslo Carlson, probably one of the greatest whalers off Durban. Again, after the war, that was the old Unitas. After the war, as a prize of war from the German government, the British government inherited the Uni Whalco, which later became Empire Victory. Sorry, that's how a conversion of one of the boats. As a spoil of war, the British government got the Empire Victory, which was a huge. That's it there, a huge factory boat. It was sold to the Union Whaling Company in compensation for the loss of the Unitas, and it became, in its day, probably the biggest and most sophisticated whaling factory ship in the world. That is a painting by Nielsen Anderson, who's a very famous painter in Durban. A lot of his paintings on whaling sit at the Norwegian Wall in St. Thomas's Road. During its heyday, the heyday from 46 to 57, there was many as 22 catches of Durban. In 1949, the Empire Victory was sold to the Japanese. From the 50s, 53, the business started more being run by chemists, and because the whole nature of the business changed. That was the signboard at the top of the hills. Those that went in, you met that before you went down the hill. That was a signboard that used to be there. The whole industry, obviously with the change in the demand for the byproducts of whale, it became far more, the whole business, instead of being running by whaler folk like Abraham, started being run by Dr. Scully and scientists and chemists, because the challenge then was to actually take the whole whaling dispensation a little bit further, okay? 53 to 60, obviously, there was a huge drive, a concentration of management, modernization and rationalization of the fleet. Okay, and obviously the introduction of a more sophisticated plant. 53, one factory closed. 54, whale spotting from the air was introduced. And by 1955, byproducts and meat extract represented a greater source of revenue than what whaling originally started with, being oil. 62, Les Sermon, who was a chemist, was MD. So speeding through here. So, okay, basically, just to sum it, on the basis of a very few crude and simple whale products, a chemical and food industry was founded here on the Bluff. The land station became the largest and most sophisticated in the world. Okay, by 1967, the marked decline in the availability of baleen whale. 67, the Hector whaling station, Donkergat closed. Prices fell. They started going into meat. The smaller whales, the meat became an important part of revenue. 1970, oil and chemical industry started developing many synthetic substitutes, so they obviously battled. 72, international oil observers were introduced to whaling. 74, pressure. 75, 76, the oil Arab embargo. And by 1975, the whaling was closed in Durban. And in 1976, the station officially closed. And 75 was the last whaling season. 76, they obviously sold the stock that was left. Towards the end, there was a lot of minke whales because it was a sought after commodity with the Japanese. So it became an important revenue source for the Union Whaling Company. I've still actually got an old packet of the whaling. Got a phone call from a person in Latvia one day that I haven't donated yet, of a packet of meat. A packet that had the meat. The meat's not there anymore. Okay, that's what a fencing deck would have looked like in its day. As Peter mentioned, there was two, one for the sperm whale, one for the baleen, that was separated. I do have, that's John MacDonald, he's a chemist. That's the biggest piece of ambergris that came from a sperm whale, from the gut, not the vomit. I read somewhere that someone said it came from the vomit of a sperm whale. Remember the sperm whale eats the giant squid? Just a quick story, if you don't mind, I'll take it. Just shoot me down. It's my only opportunity. We always believed you couldn't get sperm whale close, okay? Obviously off here we've got an intercontinental shelf, hugely deep. The sperm whale feeds off the giant squid. There's pictures of the whales that have come out, and I'll show you one with huge cuts all over their head from the giant squid. They would eat the squid. The beak caused a what's the word I'm looking for? Irritation in the bowel. Out of that became ambergris, which is Greek for floating green, because in the Mediterranean in the early days, ambergris, a fixative for the most exclusive perfumes in the world, one of the most expensive commodity. So my little joke, hopefully it goes down well, out of the bums of sperm whale to the catwalks of Europe. Okay, that was a fixative. That is the mouth of a huge rorqual. You can see a man over there, and there's all the baling plates. That's a couple of people you would have met. That's actually Dave, who was there today, his father, Herman Carlson. Peter will know them, Dogford Peterson, Hans Wilson, Peter Felipe, Herman, they all worked down there. Sorry, I'm flying through here, just more pictures of the plant in its day. I don't know where that actual building was, but I'm going to come and visit you again one day. That there, we didn't get to see this morning. That is on the, you remember the old, the main building you saw, they showed you? If we had to walk around the other side, that's still on the floor to the entrance. And that is me, okay? Those that do not remember the past, we need to repeat it. Challenge not to fix the blame for the past, but to fix the course. Okay. Thank you so much, people. As I say, obviously for those that are here, it's a passion of mine. I want to take that legacy of my father, my uncles, the people that I had the enormous opportunity to spend the latter part of their lives, because they all sadly aren't within the last 3 years. 4 of the guys, I used to use them as tour guides. They are no longer with us. And as I said, it's my challenge now to take that, and hopefully on the back of what I'm going to experience when I join you down at the heritage part and the people I'm meeting today, combine that together, and maybe come back in a few years, we've got a well-rooted experience that can match Hermanus's. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's my father. He's going for lunch. Just a couple of family pictures. My mother and father were the first people to be married in the Norwegian Hall in St. Thomas Road. There's a hall down there. If you want to, I can try and get hold of Tulif. He's a bit senile now and he's got dementia. But long story, there's wonderful pictures there by. If you go into the hall, there is a boat down there. I can get you in if we've got time. That's just a bit of nonsense.